So the next step is to put the hardware on the case sides in preparation for building the case and putting the whole project together. The first thing is to go ahead and put in your Raffix pins. If you notice, I'm putting quite a bit of pressure to keep the driver bit head firmly into the Raffix pin. It's a good chance it could strip out. If it does strip out, there will be some extra Raffix pins in your kit. Pair of pliers, or you can just screw it in with pliers to get it all the way in. The next piece that goes in is this upper attachment plate for the gas strut. It goes in the slot here. We're using these decorative nuts again from the outside of the case. So this just fits into the slot here. It's a tight fit. And then use the little machine screws to finish the installation. And then we have this pivot plate that goes down here, and then from the back, from the outside of the case, we put in our decorative nuts. And then fasten it with the machine bolts. 2 machine bolts and 2 of the short black screws. So this case side is done. You'll do the other case side exactly the same way. So the next step is to attach the case sides to the bed frame. The orientation is marked so that you know exactly which side it goes to. Here is the pivot point that's going through the hole. Before it gets inserted, there's this little plastic bushing that gets put onto the pivot point, and then you just slide it in. There's a snap ring, or spring clip, excuse me, that gets pressed onto the end of this stud here. And I like to use my screwdriver so it's not so hard on the fingers. Photograph. So the next step is to put together the case top. These are assembled using the Raffix cams and the Raffix pins, which in this case we've already put in. But you will have to do that yourself when you assemble the bed, because we have to ship it flat packed. This is the top face that will not be seen. So you take this piece and just set it on top, with the cams facing up like that, and then we go ahead and lock it in with the cams. Flip it over and do the other side. Next step is to attach the case top to the case sides. So the next step is to attach the bed headboard to the case. This can be done most easily with two people, but one person can do it. So the next step is to actually raise the cabinet. This should probably be done with two people. It's a little heavy. Your cabinet and your bed want to be about at least 16 inches from the wall, because you're going to need to get behind here in order to attach the gas struts. Next step is to actually raise the bed and fold it back into the cabinet and over-centered so it's leaning actually back. Again, this is probably a two-people job for most people. Pretty heavy. So the next step is to put the gas struts in. You'll notice that there is a particular orientation, that the rod goes down and the cylinder goes up. This is one thing you need to be pretty careful of. Right now the bed is over-centered and it's held here by gravity. If you push this out, the whole thing is going to tend to want to fall out. So be very careful not to push this out without holding on to it, so that you can keep it from going any further. So take the bottom end and snap it onto the bottom ball socket, and then grab your leg and move it out just a little bit so you can snap the upper ball socket on. You've got the second one for the second side. Next step is to install the bed stop. With this piece, that's the bed stop, and then you've got the little black screw that goes in the hole and attaches it to the case. Now, this requires some real care, because it takes two people to do this. One person that is going to hold the case from the outside and push the bed out far enough so that I can get the bed stop in. The holes for the bed stop are pre-piloted. So the next step is to put the bolts in for the handles. So for this step, attaching the handles, you need two people, one on the outside to hold the handle over the screws, the other one will be screwing from the inside. So the next step is to actually move the wall bed into its final position up against the wall. So you should know exactly where it's going. Maybe put some small marks on the wall on the outs where you'll be able to see them from the outside of the case on both sides. And then with two people, you're going to carefully move the wall bed up against the wall so that it can be attached at the top. Here we don't have a wall to attach to, so we'll make do with some clamps to clamp it to my material rack. Now, before you attach the bed to the wall, as long as you've got it positioned exactly where it's going to go, you want to look up into these upper corners and see that the gap is the same on both sides. And if it's not, then you can just gently tap the top so that you get it centered where it's supposed to, so that you have equal gap on both sides. And then you need to crawl up on the ladder and find your studs. We have two different stud finders, an electronic one and a magnetic one. I find that the magnetic one is easier to use. What it does is it locates the drywall screws that you can't see just by moving it over the wall until you find where the magnet is attracted to the drywall screw, and then you know exactly where your stud is. You can mark this back ledger here and drill a 3/16 inch hole through the back ledger, and then drive a 2.5 to 3 inch screw into your stud in 3 different places along the top. So the final step is to adjust the balance of the bed. It's actually best to do this when you have the mattress in the bed cavity so that you can take that into consideration. Notice your leg system. This is the stored position. It also holds the mattress from falling back because it captures the mattress, which, by the way, should not be over 10 inches thick. Anyway, so when you bring the bed down, you rotate the leg and then sit on the leg. There needs to be some weight on here so that it's not just going to fly up like that. So that it takes maybe 20 pounds of pressure, upward lift force to lift it up off the floor, and then rotate it back into the case. And the adjusters can adjust the mechanical advantage and how this operates. And of course, when you rotate the bed back into the case, you need to store your foot, otherwise it will mar the finish on the top trim up there. So with the mattress, you should be able to find the balance. The way that you adjust the balance is with the adjusting mechanism. So you have a bolt here that will either screw that back or pull it forward. The farther back this attachment point is, the more mechanical advantage you have, the more weight the mechanism will lift. The closer out here it is, the farther out this way it is, there's less mechanical advantage, and it will increase the amount of upward force you need to lift the bed. This is adjusted with a 7/16 inch socket. You can do it with just a driver, but it's very slow that way. We always use a 1/4 inch impact driver with a 7/16 inch socket on the appropriate adapter. And so the last step, and this is not absolutely necessary, but if you want to have the base molding that goes in here, then that's the last step. You'll need to have one person hold the bed so that you can get to the support mechanism for the base. This is the support brace for the baseboard, and it attaches to the two Rafix pins there. And then the baseboard attaches to the brace. There are two Rafix on either side. There it is. Finished.